Hi, I'm Pete Kelsall. I'm a member at Aldridge Methodist Church and I'm part of the preaching team in Walsall Methodist Circuit. In John's Gospel, in the 6th chapter, there are some amazing stories of Jesus. He feeds a huge crowd, he walks across a lake, he has some robust encounters with religious leaders of his time, and Jesus has a very pointed, heart-to-heart conversation with his closest disciples. And at one point in all of that, he makes the statement that he is the bread of life. That phrase would have resonated far more deeply with the people of his time than perhaps it does today for us. In their ancient history, these people's ancestors had been a people in slavery in Egypt, making bricks for palaces and homes. They escaped in a cataclysmic series of events, and in preparing to leave, they were instructed by God to make unleavened bread. There was no time for kneading, rising, proving and baking. Then as they travelled a mainly desert area, the vast hordes of people complained that they had no food, and God provided meat and bread. There were quails to catch, and manna, which was a breadcrumb-like substance that appeared like dew and only lasted for a day, except at weekends when the Friday gathering lasted over the Sabbath until the first day of the week. When God told this nomadic people to build a portable temple as a place of God's presence and for worship, there was a special Holy of Holies, and on a table in front of that special place each week there were laid 12 loaves of bread, reminders of their escape and of God's provision. This continued right up to the time of Jesus himself in the stone-built temple in Jerusalem. This showbread was there in front of the Holy of Holies. Bread was not just a staple food, a vital part of their diet, it was also a symbol of God's provision for his people. So when Jesus says he's the bread of life and that those who feed on him would never hunger or thirst again, he's placing himself at the culmination, the fulfillment of everything that had gone before in the religious understanding of these people. God ensured that as the Messiah, Jesus would be born in Bethlehem, which means the house of bread. The devil tempted Jesus to make rocks into bread. Jesus broke bread and fed 5,000 and 7,000 people on two separate occasions. He taught his disciples to pray for daily bread, that is, the bread for the coming day. And on the night he was betrayed, he broke bread and instituted a remembrance that feeds and has fed millions of us over the 2,000 years that have passed since, in all countries, all cultures, languages, and shades of Christian belief and practice. So, when he claims for himself the name Bread of Life, he not only pulls to an apex all that has gone before, he presses his claim to be the one who sustains and feeds all who will follow. John crafted his gospel around 3 Passovers, 7 I am claims of Jesus, and 7 or more miraculous signs. Plenty of writers have produced study series on these I am statements and the miraculous signs, and I'm not going to delve deeply into them here and now, but I do feel led to look at John's description of some of the signs. His first was the miracle of Jesus turning water into wine. Jesus begins his earthly ministry right where it will climax, around a glass of wine. the best wine, the new wine of a new covenant. This miracle points ahead to the spilling of his blood, the laying down of his life to bring in a new covenant. No longer is God to be thought of as hidden behind a curtain before which stands a table bearing bread. The curtain is torn. The barrier is down. No priest is required. God will be out, incarnate amongst his people, and his people will have direct access to their God. God is with us. The bread of life feeds us. The kingdom is at hand. The curtain is torn. The Spirit that raised Jesus from the dead is born in you and gives you life, and there is no separation between God and the people he feeds and sustains. In the other miracles that John picks out as signs, Jesus heals a child from sickness at the point of death, at a distance and without even going to the child's sickbed. He restores a lame person to full mobility, feeds a multitude with bread and fish, walks across a lake at night, restores sight to a man blind, and raises Lazarus to life after 4 days in the tomb. Each of these miracles points to a different aspect of Jesus as Christ, as God among us, as the God who created and retains power over his creation. So, as a company of God's people, of Christ's people, as a congregation of Christians, what sign are we pointing to Jesus so that others may find him? If we look at the signs in John, we can be challenged to be people who bring joy at times of celebration. We believe in God's power to heal and restore, and we stand by those who need that, praying with them and praying for them. We have food for those who are hungry. We declare that the earth is the Lord's and that we are stewards of what he has made. We have a brighter vision to share and can encourage people to look to Jesus when they are struggling to make sense of the way ahead. We have a message of life that defeats the grave, gives purpose for living, and a hope for life everlasting. Our challenge is to be led by the Holy Spirit to communicate that in our community, amongst our friends and family, so that people find Jesus and want to be in his kingdom now and forevermore. And in that, we will welcome in all who see what we are and how we live and wonder what it is pointing to. Jesus said, "I am the bread of life." We must keep that in the present tense. We should not be describing this as an occasion when Jesus is recorded as saying he was the bread of life. Whilst this is an event recorded by John so long ago, it is a truth for today, every day. We are not here to mark historic truths, but to live in the Holy Spirit, in the presence of Jesus, who is always I am. Please, Father, Jesus, Holy Spirit, keep us showing how to live in your present reality and show that to others as churches and as individuals day by day.